Hello and welcome back to the ARAH YouTube channel. That would be the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club. I'm your host and I'm your founder, Wild Bill Hardy. In the last episode, we discussed disciplinary action. And we discussed suspensions and expulsions. And so now that we've got that covered, we're almost to the end. Okay. The disciplinary glossary terms. This is mostly of like what all the multifacets of the court-martial proceedings. And I put this in here so that you, the membership, the General Assembly, you have a full understanding of the inner workings of such things like a military tribunal, a court-martial. So these disciplinary glossary terms, I mean, they're kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They should be self-evident. You should be able to figure them out on your own. But for the sake of transparency and, just so that we're all on the same page, I'm just going to go over them. So, take notice, the use of current legal terms and phrases are used for the purpose of making reasonable familiarity to all parties and due process of court-martial hearings. So, disciplinary glossary terms are defendant, accuser, victim, witness, providing officer, hearing panel, verdict, appeal. And I'm going to go through each and every one of them right now. Okay. So, it just goes without saying, I think we all know what a defendant is, but this is the person accused of wrongdoing. There may be multiple defendants. Should such be the case, each individual defendant will be given a separate court-martial hearing unless all parties agree to take part in a joint hearing. For means of expedition, joint hearings are preferred whenever possible. Meaning, if there were multiple people that were involved in an issue, right? You had a theft ring, for crying out loud, okay? And you had 4 or 5 Joes and a couple Cobras, 1 October Guard, right? And they were all involved in like a theft ring, okay? So all of those individuals have the option to have their own individual court-martial, or, and this is what we would prefer for, like I said, expedition of the hearings, or they could opt to be tried together all in one hearing. So it's, they can have separate trials or just a combined trial. Okay. Accuser. This is the person or persons who has brought the complaint of conduct unbecoming of a Joe against another member. This person may or may not have been a victim of the offense. They also may have been the witness to it. So, it doesn't just have to be the victim that can be the accuser. The witness can be the accuser as well. Okay? Which goes into victim. What is a victim? I think we all know what one is. This is the person who has been directly affected or harmed by the actions of the defendant. There may be more than one in any given case. Okay? Witness. What is a witness? This is the person who has either seen the defendant doing wrong or has personal information which may be relevant to the case at hand. The information may only be that of first-hand information. Second-hand information, or hearsay, will not be allowed as evidence in the case. So, in other words, I heard from so-and-so that you stole a cookie. Okay? That doesn't make me a witness. What that makes me is that just makes me someone who heard a rumor. And court-martials are based on facts and not rumors, right? You get me the person that actually saw, saw that person steal the cookie. That's the witness that I want to talk to. That's the witness that I want to have. I want their testimony in this case so that we can, be judicious about it and get it taken care of. Okay. The presiding officer. This person is the chief hearing officer and panel foreman. This duty falls upon the sector command officer. It may fall upon the club founder should it be the command sector officer who is up on charges of court-martial. So that just goes without saying, right? The guy in charge is the guy who convenes the court-martial hearing, and he or she is in charge of the court-martial tribunal, which is the officers who are selected to be the judges on the panel of this case, right? And like when I originally wrote this charter, again, like I said in another video, it was originally 36 pages long, and I cut a lot of it out, pared it down to about 20 pages. I went through great detail of what happens if this guy is under charge, who takes over, and that sort of thing. And I mean, I expressed like every nuance, every detail of every officer. Should they be the one who is brought up on charges? Well, who takes place in their interim? Who holds their position on the tribunal? That sort of thing. But I mean, I'd like to think that I had succinctly had expressed that and explained that. So, but, that can always be brought up at another time where we can discuss it and I can, point it out. The hearing panel. These are the top brass members who are in charge of adjudicating the case in any hearing. These panel judges are comprised of, but not limited to, the sector command officer, the sector command executive officer, the sector command first sergeant, sector command personnel officer, sector command information officer, and the sector command quartermaster. Any of these officers may be called upon a panel of 3 to 5 officers. All panel judges are asked to be fair and impartial to render unbiased decisions in the case. Hearings shall take as long as necessary to properly adjudicate the case. Once the hearing has concluded for the purpose of adjudication, the presiding officer shall poll the hearing panel for deposition. A majority 2/3 vote shall determine the outcome of the judgment, to include any type of censure, suspension, expulsion, removal of office, and or other punishment, and or required restitution or reparations as applicable. Okay, it just goes out saying that your top brass officers that are serving on that hearing panel, 3 to 5 of them, it could be just 3 of them, or it could be all of them, as long as it's an odd number. The reason why that is because I want to make sure that there is an absolute definitive guilty, not guilty verdict, right? I don't want to have a hung jury. I don't want to have, hey, well, these 2 guys said yay, these 2 guys say no, now what do you do? I mean, I suppose in a perfect world, you'd kick that up to me and then I'd make the decision. But then that puts me out of being able to be the appellate, the appeals process, right? I can't exactly rule on something and then be the guy to come to for an appeal. You know what I mean? There's some bias there. So, verdict. This is the final ruling of the case. Should a defendant be found guilty of the charges brought against them, the record of judgment will be entered into the court-martial record, with the judgment levied against the defendant being entered into their personal file, which shall be sealed. After all affected parties have been notified of said judgment, judgment shall be sealed for the purpose of moving beyond the situation. After the judgment has been rendered, all affected parties are remanded to not discuss the outcome of the case once it is closed. A general announcement will be made to the club membership body declaring that the case has been satisfactorily adjudicated. There isn't much more I could say to that. We have the trial, we have the sentence, or we have the adjudication. It's guilty, not guilty. With that guilty comes, here's the punishment, right? After everything's all said and done, we want to move on, right? We don't want to be bogged down by the negativity of it. We want to move on. And this is why we ask everyone, okay, don't discuss this anymore. It's been handled. It's been taken care of. It's been resolved. no need to, continue to whip that dead horse, as it were. And so we just want to move on, right? We'll make a general announcement to the membership body and say, this was the trial, this was the verdict, this is what happened, this is now a closed case, we are moving on. Okay? It's just that simple. Okay? The appeal. I think we all know what an appeal is, but once the judgment has been rendered, the accused does have the right to appeal the decision of the record of judgment. To appeal, the accused must file their request for appeal to the club founders. The accused will have 2 weeks to file their motion for appeal. The club founders will convene a special session to adjudicate the facts of the case. In other words, that would be me, it'd be club advisors, and we'd all get together and we'd be like, was this verdict fair? Was everything handled appropriately? Does this person deserve to have an appeal or not? And it's going to be that. And by the way, once the appeal is done, that is the final verdict, period. And I think I'm about to say that here. The club founders will, because the founders don't sit on the court martial, this process leaves the club founders to be fair and impartial as possible to give the accused their right to appeal. Once the founders have examined the record of judgment and all relevant facts, they will make their decision in accordance with the rules of this charter. And the final judgment ends with us. Okay? The official record of judgment is a document not unlike the majority opinion of a U.S. Supreme Court decision. This document shall be completed by the presiding officer, detailing every facet of the case, testimony, vote results, including the identity of all hearing panel members who voted, and the final verdict, including details of punishments and restitution, as well as time frames required of the defendant in carrying out their sentence. The record of judgment is to be submitted at the time of sentencing, at the time of the sentencing phase of the court-martial proceedings. Defendants may file an appeal to the court's verdict, as well as any associated punishment, to the club founder for final adjudication. Defendants shall have a period of no more than 2 weeks to file an appeal to the club founders. The club founders will review the case and the defendant's request for judgment overturned. The founders shall take as much time as they need to make an informed and unbiased judgment for this appeal. The judgment of the club founders shall be the final verdict, and no other appeals to be made available to the defendant. I probably could have cut that out because I think I just reiterated what I'd already said. Some final notes, since I'm right here and this is the end of it. The Sector Command Personnel Officer will maintain all records, including the record of judgment, of all court-martial hearings, and shall make summaries of all hearings available to the general membership of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club. It is these summaries that shall serve as the general announcement being made to the club membership body as outlined. The record of judgment for all court-martial hearings, which is maintained by Sector Command Personnel Officer, shall always be available to any member of the top brass at any time for review as needed. No member will be removed from the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club member database or from this club without the knowledge and approval of the Sector Command Officer and the Sector Command Personnel Officer, except in cases of final judgment of court-martial hearings. The only caveat to that is, well, there is no caveat, and that's basically it. The only reason why you're removed from this club is either through disciplinary action. Even when you retire, you're still welcome back, right? So we never really drop you from our membership roster, not unless something egregious happened. So that is it. That's the charter. I have finally successfully completed the charter, and I have no more videos for you. So questions, comments, concerns, about this section of the charter or any of the charter, drop them in the comments so that I can respond to them. Also, new content. What else are we going to discuss on the club page? I don't know. I'm just here to facilitate the smooth operation of a club that is for you. It's for all of us. I don't ever want to be that, that dictator owner of a club. I mean, it's I'm a big believer in our U.S. Constitution, so I'm a big believer in we the people. And I tried to conduct myself in this club, we the club, we the people. So any thoughts or ideas you have, I know that we're talking about doing a podcast, and I'd love input on that. Please, 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 give us some input on that. It's one of those things where I'll probably we'll figure out a medium and how we're going to do it, but then we'll post those podcasts on our YouTube page or YouTube channel here. So that's it. Thank you for hanging with me. Sorry that it's kind of gone so long, but I figured I could just knock all these out and then just be done with the charter. So it's gone a little over 16 minutes, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you for all that you do and what you bring to the table. We are all fans of G.I. Joe, and so let's hope that this disciplinary stuff never has to come up ever again. That we can all get along and we can be right with each other. So I want to wish you a blessed day, and I am gonna go hang out with some friends. So Yojo, Cobra, known as Half the Battle, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a good day. Bye.